Good evening, everyone. My name is Sonali Gupta. I welcome you all on behalf of Federation of Indian Animal Protection Organizations on Learn from Leaders webinar or impactful counseling and education sessions to mitigate human-dog conflict. Before beginning with, I would like to introduce FIAPO, and FIAPO is doing this webinar in collaboration with Indian Immunologicals Limited. FIAPO is a collective voice of animal rights in India. It is a catalyst that protects the interests of animals on local and national level through research, education, mobilization, networking, and direct action. We provide capacity building training to the organizations and the activists for direct action on field. We are an umbrella organization having 165 member organizations which are doing animal welfare work. Plus, we have a network of more than 200 to 1,000 activists and volunteers all over the country. Regarding today's webinar, we designed it because there are many issues which are curtailed around human-dog conflict. And one pretty and petty issue which we most of the time ignore but daily confront is how to do counseling and how to aware people regarding dog bites, rabies prevention, and how to counsel people to handle such situations, because it is extremely important for all of us to empower ourselves with the right skills, and that we must acquire the right skills to counsel and educate people whenever it comes to dogs cases, because whenever we talk about human dog conflict, it is certainly very important most of the time that our reaction and our responses are directly related to how the other person will perceive it. And therefore, whenever we will be responding to any human dog conflict, first of all, we need to have those skills on how to proceed ahead, how to approach people when they are already in panic state, when they do not want to listen, when they think that dogs are creating nuisance. At that point of time, these skills, they empower us to tackle a situation effectively and diplomatically, so that whatever actions we will be taking forth in response to the situation that is there on the ground, those actions are aligned with the animal welfare, and we have those skills that we know that we understand that this situation needs us to be calm, to be at peace, so that we do not lose focus on where we are heading towards. So to proceed ahead, I would now like to introduce our speaker for today, and our speaker for this webinar is Tanu Girotra. She is an animal rights activist, a healthcare professional. She imparts training on life skills, human behavior expert, and she is an author. She holds master's degree in social work from Delhi School of Social Work, University of Delhi, and she is a gold medalist in human rights law from Indian Law Institute. She has served at Delhi Government Pediatric Hospital for more than a decade and also worked in PETA for advocating rights of the animals. Currently, she is working with FIAPO as an advocacy officer. She did her training from AIMS. Her technical skills include counseling, behavioral modification, family therapy, support psychotherapy, public relations, advocacy, and networking. She has authored 5 books on different issues, out of which one of her book on life skills has been selected in many international book fairs. We welcome you all, Tanu. Thank you so much for joining us here. And now over to you.
Okay, so today I'll throw some light on how to make an impactful counseling and education session for the prevention of dog bites and rabies. So before going into the details of counseling and education aspects, I think it is very important to understand the basic elements. For example, if we plan to go out outside the country or outside the city, we always make a list of things which we require or will prepare an itinerary for the same. So similarly, we have to make a plan, a blueprint or a methodology which can be used to make it more engaging, participative, and result oriented. So these are the elements which include what is the need for conducting counseling and education session, who is going to be our target audience, what are we trying to achieve, what strategies needs to be adopted, and what would be the medium, channel, and resources required to conduct a session. And first and foremost, we need to be clear with our purpose, what exactly we are looking for from the session. Are we trying to sensitize people, or are we trying to inculcate safety tips for children and adults for prevention of dog bites? Or we are encouraging positive behavioral change, or the compliance of post-exposure prophylaxis, or developing the human-animal bond? So first of all, if we would like to counsel someone, it is very essential and important to understand the basic knowledge of the disease. And today we'll be talking about the rabies. So we should be aware about rabies, the prevalence rates, and the myths involved in the management treatment of rabies and dog bites. So rabies is a vaccine preventable zoonotic viral disease which can affect domestic and wild animals. And it can be 100% fatal, and it directly affects your central nervous system and your brain. And in dogs, in India, dogs are responsible for about 97% of human rabies, and which can cause needless suffering to the families and dogs as well. But at the same time, if given an appropriate treatment, it can be 100% preventable too. So India has up to 59 million street dogs and endures approximately 20,000 human cases of the rabies virus annually. These figures are the highest in the world and generate further ill feeling towards dogs. And only 70% of the people in India have ever heard of rabies, and only 30% know that first of all, you need to wash your wound with the soap and water. So these incidents are increasing due to lack of awareness of the preventive measures, which translates into insufficient dog vaccination and uncontrolled dog population, poor knowledge and compliance of proper post-exposure prophylaxis. Now, what is the impact of dog bites and rabies? Yeah. So throughout the history, humans have formed close attachments to dogs, and that coexistence has contributed substantially to human quality of life. But dog bites at the same time cause a serious health problem, which can cause physical, medical, psychological, emotional, and financial burden on the individuals, communities, and the government as well. And some psychological injuries can cause mental anguish that can affect the child's or individual personality, which includes symptoms like intrusive memories, avoidance, negative mood swings, guilt, irrational thoughts, and fears. Now you can see this picture, how the dog bite affects a human. It can cause a physical trauma. It leads to painful impact, can be stressful, expensive treatment required, and again, 100%, it can be 100% fatal too. Now, there are many myths involved in the management and treatment of dog bites. There are many people who use indigenous products like mustard oil, turmeric, and hot pepper for the treatment of rabies and dog bites. You must be wondering how come they use a hot pepper or a mustard oil on the wounds. But it is a fact, when I was in the hospital, I have seen many patients, many clients who were actually practicing these things, which are actually responsible for their deaths and their rabies as well. So people also have believed that there is no need to seek medical advice at all for dog bite. And some people think one dose or one injection will be enough for the treatment and do not require to complete the course. So for intradermal treatment, you need to take at least 4 injections on 0 day, 3rd day, 7th and 30th day. So you have to complete a complete course if you want to prevent yourself from the rabies. And few people also think that running is always better than staying still in front of the growling and angry dog. And many people also used to follow this jharpuk, or they believe that some baba can cure this dog bites and rabies. And it is absolutely fine to hold and pick up to be surrounded by the dogs, or people who love dogs from far but get scared to be close to them. Some people are xenophobic. Xenophobia means it's an extreme, irrational, and persistent fear which can cause the social functioning of the individual or the patient or the rabies bite victim. So to be more specific, we can include our target population like school children and teens, parents, or active adults. So children are the most common victim of serious dog bites. 70% of fatal dog attacks and more than half of bite wounds requiring medical attention involve children. Their behaviors, including running, yelling, grabbing, hitting, and maintaining eye contact, put them at risk for dog bites injuries. And all adults should learn appropriate behaviors around dogs so that they can protect themselves, teach their own children, and serve an example too to prevent any kind of dog bites. And we also can consider the active adults, including the joggers, bikers, hawkers, deliverymen, postmen, whose outdoor activities provide greater exposure to dogs and put them most at risk for the injury. Now again, we need to understand, we need to be clear why a dog bite. We need to understand the basic reason, and to understand that, we need to do a root cause analysis of dog bites. First of all, we need to understand the human behavior and emotions responsible to provoke a dog to bite. Other than that, we humans are unable to understand the dog's body language, their sign and symptoms, which again can lead to a dog bite. But a rabid dog can bite without any provocation too. So we need to understand the basic sign and symptoms of a rabid dog too. So what would be the requirements for conducting a session? First of all, we need to understand the basic knowledge of human behavior and dog's body language too. Understanding of the disease, communication skill. This is the heart of counseling. You know, when you are supposed to counsel someone, you need to have a good communication skill. You can train a dog very easily, right? But changing someone's human behavior would be a difficult task altogether. For example, if we every new year we make resolutions and plan, and we end up ruining it. So if we are unable to change ourselves, then you can think of, you know, how can we change others? So for that, it requires a good communication skills. And here, when I'm talking about the communication, it doesn't mean the language. Normally people in India think that if you speak in English, it means you have a good communication skills. No, but communication means you are able to convey your message exactly the way you want it to convey, right? So it should include the correct content, the context, the channel, and your body language. And 80% of your communication is non-verbal. So you need to consider your facial expressions, your tone, your pitch. You should choose your words wisely. So all these things really matter before conducting a session. You have to keep a check on that. Your problem solving and conflict resolution skills again play a very big role while performing counseling and while doing therapeutic sessions. Appropriate selection of program media. Program media, you can say, it can include information, education, and communication activities. And you should have appropriate resources as well. Now, understanding people's emotion, which can cause or which can provoke dog to bite and again further lead to rabies. So a human can get angry, they get scared, they tease dog, they being violent sometimes, frustration is there, they get anxious, some people are phobic to dogs. And there is one more important point. When we just think over, when we just get into the detail why people behave in a certain way, especially teasing or hitting or abusing animals or dogs, why they do that. Normally, we humans feel that, if we hit someone who is vulnerable to us, including the woman or a child or a pet or a dog, it would be easier to come out or to release your tension and your anxieties. Okay, so dealing with that, you need to understand people's emotions. So you can see here the picture, one boy is trying to tease a dog and the other man is hitting and abusing the dog, the innocent dog. And one boy is actually scared and trying to run. So these are the emotions, people behavior, which are responsible to provoke a dog to bite. And because we are here to understand the concept of counseling, so it is very important to understand the basic impact of dog fear in humans as well. Then only you will be able to counsel people. You should be aware of the symptoms and the impact as well. So it can make a very bad impact. It can lead to panic disorder, some kind of phobia, anxiety, or a post-traumatic stress disorder. So the symptoms of phobias, anxieties, and PTSD include trouble breathing, rapid heart rate, pain or tightness in chest, shaking or trembling hand, dizziness, upset stomach, insomnia, and sweating. Other than this, we can also learn about the emotional symptoms. So it would include your panic attacks, detached feeling from self, loss of control, feeling of dying, and sometimes feeling powerless over the fear. We have already discussed about the cynophobia. It's an extreme, irrational, and persistent fear which can cause the social functioning of the individuals. Now, agoraphobia, basically it is nothing but a same kind of phobia like cynophobia or anxiety or a panic attack. But here people feel really threatened to go outside your home after a violent dog attack. So it is called agoraphobia. One of many psychological dog bite injuries is post-traumatic stress disorder. So for many people who have suffered a dog bite or attack, every time they see a dog, they relive the trauma like any other event that causes high level of stress. So some of them feel very uncomfortable and can develop symptoms like intrusive memories, avoidance, negative mood swings, guilt, and all. Now, why a dog bite? We also need to understand the dog body language and behavior as well. So if the dog is scared, if the dog needs space, if he's in pain or guarding a resource, if he's tied up or get teased by the humans or feel threatened, or she's trying, the mother is trying to protect the puppies, then dog will definitely bite. But at the same time, if you find a rabid dog, with particular signs and symptoms, that rabid dog can bite without any provocation too. So now we can understand the dog's body language. You can see this picture. In the first picture, you can see the happy dog. This dog is relaxed and mouth open, wagging tail. So this dog is really friendly and invites interaction. In the second picture, you can see that worried dog. And in the third picture, you can see the dog is really tensed, baring its teeth, and he's trembling and he's all threatened and ready to bite if required. So the signs of rabies in dogs. You can see some abnormal sign and symptoms when you can see a rabid dog. So it would include the abnormal behavior and change of the tone of the bark, unprovoked bites, excessive salivation. Again, if we are counseling someone, then we should be aware of the safety tips for prevention of dog bites. So what are they? Complete course of rabies vaccine is must to prevent rabies. Pet and stray dogs should be regularly vaccinated for rabies vaccine. Never annoy a dog who's eating or sleeping. Never disturb a mother who's nursing a pups or sitting with them. Don't make an eye contact or stare at dogs. Don't run in front of the dog. If you find a growling dog come near to you, then don't shout and stay still like a rock and ignore it. Encourage dog sterilization. So these are the few safety tips which we can teach or counsel our children or the adults as well, to prevent any kind of dog bites in future. So why will people listen to you? We all are here to attend this session. So what are the reason, or why people will, when you conduct a session, when a counselor, an activist, or an animal lover conduct a session, why will they attend your session? There are many reasons for that. Due to ethical or moral reasons, psychological reasons, somebody who is going through a trauma, or somebody's child is going through a trauma after the violent dog attack. That's why he or she would love to attend your session. Somebody would love to understand, he would like to understand the legal provision if they do any kind of dog cruelty or dog abuse. Main part, the counseling and education for dog awareness and prevention of rabies. Normally we all say that we have done counseling of my, I have done counseling of my friend because she is very upset or he is very upset. It's a very loose term, it's a very loose word. Just giving an advice or informing about something doesn't mean you are doing counseling. It actually requires a skill set, and just learning the names of counseling will not lead you to be a good counselor. So you need to practice professionally and personally as well, because you need to have certain skills and characteristics in you as well. And few type of therapies can be conducted by the professionals, and this would require a complete exposure and training as well. So counseling doesn't mean just giving an advice. It's a well-planned collaborative effort based on scientific facts and requires skills to identify potential solutions of problems which can cause emotional turmoil, promote behavioral change, and improve communication and coping skills. Counseling and education are the most important components to reduce dog bite and rabies cases. Inculcate safety tips, promote positive behavior change, and encourage sterilization and vaccination. It also helps to aware people regarding the basic legal provisions to prevent unnecessarily dog killing or cruelty cases. These sessions need to be conducted to make people more aware about the existence of the rabies, especially in the rheumatological emotional support to the dog bite victim or to the patient. So this would serve a therapeutic purpose. We can also conduct counseling and education session for the promotive aspects to encourage positive behavior change, developing human animal bond, or for encouraging better interactions, or to inculcate safety tips, or for motivating responsible pet care. So now there are three types of counseling: individual, group, and community. Individual, you can do one-on-one counseling with your client, with your victim, or with your patient. But in group, yes, if you want to form a group of dog bite victims, it would be really great, so that they can share their experiences and they can learn with each other how they came out from their phobias and anxieties after a violent dog attack. And in communities also, you can conduct many mass awareness and sensitization programs. Now, what should be the characteristics of a counselor? Like I said, just learning the names of skills, we cannot say that we are a good counselor. We should have it inherent. We should learn it to be a good counselor. So you should actually build a rapport first whenever you meet a dog bite victim, or even if you're trying to conduct a session for preventive aspect, then also you should show your warmth, respect, and you should be attentive to your client group. We should also ensure trust issues and confidentiality. Effective communication, like I said earlier, it's a key. Your non-verbal language, your body language, your tone, your pitch, your words, and never ever use the close-ended questions. Try to observe your client, your patient, and listen more. And gradually, with the subsequent sessions, you can give them a psychoeducation, and you can provide the therapeutic services as well. Show your genuineness, providing empathy. Now, empathy is very important. To see yourself or to understand the other's point of view is sometimes very difficult. You know, if being a dog lover or being an activist, you know, if you see someone is talking bad about dogs, right, and you're a counselor too, you're an activist too, so at the same time what you feel like, you know, why this person is saying bad things about dog? I love dog, and we have legal provision xyz reasons, so that person should not think about that. But you should also understand why he is behaving in that manner. So you should target the problem, not the person. If you are targeting the person, then your purpose will not be solved. So you need to be transparent to yourself as well. Please do keep a check on your ego, your emotions, your feelings, and your thoughts and your actions. Don't be threatening, don't show your threatening attitude, don't argue with them, and don't be judgmental too. Now, what are the skills required for counseling? Emotional intelligence, interpersonal relationship, communication, conflict resolution, and problem skills. See, all these 4 skills are interlinked and interrelated. So we have to deal with our emotions, your feelings, your actions, and your behavior. So try to keep a check on all these aspects while doing counseling. What can be the goal of counseling of a dog bite victim? The goal of a counseling of a dog bite victim is to encourage, normalize, and validate the emotional response, and to re-empower the victim and help them to regain control. Once they control their fears, they can reconnect with dogs. Counseling in the first 72 hours, which we call a golden hour, is aimed at diffusing the situation. And part of the counseling would focus on the victim's internal and external resources and coping mechanism and support. You should also support the family as well. Try to find out the resources and psychological support they already have. So the purpose should be helping the people to help themselves, because every single time you cannot be there with the victim. So you need to encourage to bring out the positive change along with the family members. Now, what strategies we can use for giving counseling and education? For trauma counseling, provide the basic initial support through your communication and your rapport building skills. You can also do some kind of relaxation exercises, which include deep breathing or guided imagery. Maybe later on, we will try to do it here as well for 5 minutes. You can also go for family counseling, try to make the family understand the disease, the treatment required, and at the same time, they should not have the ill feeling towards dogs. Not initially, but gradually with the subsequent sessions, you can start working on that as well. Now, cognitive behavioral training or therapy, it should be done by the professional, but this can be used while providing trauma counseling. And we can also use anger management techniques, that you should choose between reaction, how to react, or respond. Whether you would like to react on a certain situation that would lead to dog bite, or you are ready to use your brain or think wisely. So similarly, you can respond nicely while dealing with your with the surrounding of the dogs. You can also encourage behavior modification techniques. Behavior modification technique can be positive or negative reinforcements. So for negative reinforcement, people get threatened. Normally, we never go for that negative reinforcement. Always go for a positive reinforcement so that they can connect with dogs rather than they develop any kind of fear for dogs. You should also encourage problem solving and conflict resolution skills. It can actually enhance their decision making power, and analytical skills as well. We can also use community engagement for vaccination and sterilization education program. Use of appropriate resources and program media, like try to use information education and communication activities for imparting the counseling and education session. You can further refer for the intervention if required. Sometimes they also need psychiatric or psychological help. So you can refer the patient or the victim to any psychiatrist or the clinical psychologist for the further treatment. Now, program media is one of the most important tool of counseling in education. It includes all activities like games, singing, craft activities, storytelling, street plays, theater, etc. And we all can use this. While conducting a session, we can use drama, role play. Now, what is the importance of program media? It helps in conveying the message in the most appropriate way. It improves the participation of the individuals or members. The objectives can be achieved easily by using program media. It can involve people in the program. It also serves the purpose of recreation so that people can connect more. They feel good to be part of your education session. Unfortunately, if we meet in person, we can conduct many activities. We can involve participants so that they also feel good. And right now we are just it's a one-way traffic. Somebody is speaking and we are unable to make an eye contact or see each other. Definitely it's a limitation right now. But when you meet people in person or counsel your clients or your victims, personally, it would be really, really better. What resources we can use for conducting the session? We can always use CDs, DVDs, video players, posters, flashcards, flipbook, art and craft books, or drawing sheets or coloring books as well. So you can see some pictures here. You can use them as flashcards or flipbooks, so that children can learn easily. They will get engaged. You can see this flashcard, dog bite prevention, reasons a dog might bite, preventing a dog bite, important things to remember. So these flashcards can be used while conducting a session. This is promoting vaccination, sterilization, responsible pet handling, legal awareness for prevention of dog cruelty. See, why people will listen, we have already discussed about that, but sometimes people listen out of fear and sometimes out of ethical responsibility. So you should also be aware of certain legislative measures which are here for us, to prevent any kind of cruelty or abuse cases. So what are the types of program media we can use, the activities we can use? We can say games, drama, use of puppets, mask and role play, singing and storytelling, art and craft. You can have an interactive session, group session. You can also use social media. It's really helpful if we are trying to reach the masses through Facebook or Insta Live. You can also conduct some games with the children, how to be safe when you are around with the dogs, like stay still, arms crossed, face away, eyes down. These games would be really, really helpful, if you are trying to convey the correct message among the children. This is one more example, true or false game. We can also use the coloring sheets so that they will get involved and try to learn new things through this innovative ideas, and similarly can convey the message to their parents and to their friends and relatives as well. Visual arts can be used. So these are few activities which can be used while conducting these sessions. So to conclude it, we can say that since time immemorial, humans and dogs have stayed together and with each other. And animal companionship is an integral aspect of life and provides highly reliable association in a person's life. Dogs should be treated as members of the moral community and treated as non-human individuals. Counseling of a dog bite victim and education about dog bite prevention, systematic vaccination, sterilization, and awareness about rabies treatment help people to feel confident around dogs and ensure that they know what action to take if dog bites. So this safeguards human psychological welfare and encourage positive attitude towards dog.
Thank you so much, Tanu, for your time. We have a few questions over here. How to make the dog bite patient relax and listen to the counselor. Many times people are very angry and don't want to listen, and how to engage them and how to make them listen to the counselor, because it usually happens at the government hospital. Number one, we have so many dog bite victims, and there are only a couple of people who are injecting as well as at the same time maintaining records. Yeah. But there are really very few hospitals in the entire country who are doing counseling, who are telling people of and asking people what went wrong and how can it be prevented in future. So at those times when people are already panicking out of fear, or out of fear of the vaccine, or out of anger, because their close ones, they are bitten and they are in pain, at that point of time when the other party is not ready to listen to anything, how can we make sure that how can we ensure that they listen to us, and by listening I mean that they understand.
Yeah. Very nice question, I must say. I have encountered many people during my hospital work. So for that, I think first and foremost thing, you need to listen. Initially, you cannot say that, okay, let me tell you something about rabies. You have to do this and that. I will provide you counseling. I will provide you psychological support. They will not listen to you. They are the sufferers. We are the dog lovers, okay? And they are the victims. That's why I use the word empathy, okay? So when we are talking about empathy, we should understand their point of view as well. Gradually, the moment they enter the hospital, okay, try to make them calm first. This is the first step we should do. Straight away we cannot say that, okay, you should be good to dogs, or you should follow up with your course of treatment. They will not listen to you because they're actually panic, and they're not in a state of mind to listen. First of all, if we are there, for example, forget about the dogs, otherwise if we had an accident, right, and our own parents or our close one is with us, then how we are going to react on that situation? So we should understand that first. Listen to them, take the proper history, what exactly has happened, try to make them feel relaxed first, be polite. This is the first support you can give. Later on, gradually, when the patient and the caregiver is fine with it, after having initial injection and the wound is clean, then you can just make the patient and the caregivers sit at a nice peaceful place. Then you start doing your counseling, but it's a gradually you can do. At first place, you cannot just say that, okay, listen to me, I'm here to help you. They just don't want. Forcefully we cannot counsel anyone. So basically, initially you need to listen. And how you are going to listen? You need to nod your head, okay? Give them reassurance. Things will be fine. Don't worry. Use your words and statements in a correct manner. That's why I'm saying in a personal life also, we need to practice these skills. A counselor should have a skill set. Just naming it cannot, you cannot have it. So for that, in a personal life as well, you need to be polite, you need to be responsible, you should be a good listener too. If you are unable to give your ear to someone, then you won't be able to do any impact. So first of all, listen to them. Listening means through your body language as well. Make the person feel comfortable with you. Develop a rapport with them. through your communication. Again, I said 80% of the communication using non-verbal cues, right? Gradually, you can psychoeducate. How to psychoeducate? Give the basic knowledge about rabies or the dog bites, that you are supposed to do this and that, otherwise it will impact your own child. And you are talking this for their own good, not for the counselor's happiness or joy because he or she is a dog lover. No, it is for their own good. So they will listen to you gradually. At first place, listen to them. Okay. And later on, definitely, if you build the rapport, they will be able to understand. I think that's why I was saying at the end of the session, I would like to conduct a 5-minute activity with you if you are happy to volunteer, you know, how to do a deep breathing exercise. You can do it with your patient or your caregiver. Okay, not immediately. The moment they enter, if you ask, okay, do some breathing exercise, they said, are you a fool? What are you talking about? My child is having a pain. He's having a wound, you know, and you're talking about taking a deep breathing exercise. Nobody will listen to you. It's practical. So let the child take the basic treatment. Okay, make them feel comfortable around you. In your company, they feel comfortable. Okay, don't straight away say that you should not think bad about dogs or do this and that. Gradually, in the subsequent sessions, follow up is required. Definitely, as I said, it require at least you have to complete the post exposure prophylaxis, right? The 4 injection intradermal treatment you need to take. So you can also go for the follow up, so that ultimately they can reconnect with the dogs and it will not lead to any kind of cruelty or hatredness or ill feeling towards dog. This is our basic aim, right? Initially, you need to be a good listener and a good observer too. That's a trick. I think I've seen hundreds or maybe thousands of patients, not the dog bite victims, other than that as well. But if you come up along with the patient, then you are a sufferer. The other party is the sufferer and you are the healer. Okay, so basically you need to listen and observe, and gradually you can psychoeducate about the disease or the treatment. And in the subsequent sessions, you can conduct some kind of guided imagery or deep breathing exercise. They can do it at home as well. And we can also conduct cognitive behavioral therapy. But this is for professionals only. So this is a disclaimer. I cannot say every individual or every person who is doing counseling can do that. Cognitive behavioral therapy basically is, it's a connection between your feelings, your thoughts, and your behaviors, which in turns impact or reflect in your actions. So for example, if a child had a violent dog attack, right, and he or she is in trauma, to come out of it. So how a counselor will counsel or do a therapy with that child? So first of all, communication will definitely play a bigger role. And in gradual sessions, you will try to get a soft toy, a soft toy puppy. Okay. Try to ask the child, come near to this soft toy. The child will, try to pat the soft toy initially, or maybe he or she gets threatened to see even the soft toy puppy or a dog. So you can start with the puppy, soft toy puppy, and after that he or she is comfortable, you can take a small puppy. Okay, sweet loving small puppy, and gradually he or she is getting comfortable with the surrounding of the dogs. Then you can actually make an interaction with the well-built dog as well. So it's a process. In a day or so, you cannot make any changes in any human. In fact, we cannot change. You can train a dog. You can give training to dog very easily, but changing a human behavior in a day or so, it's not possible. It needs practice. You need follow-up, and you need to change yourself first of all, being a counselor, in your personal life as well, because we have discussed about the skill set we should have. So jotting down the points and jotting down the skills. Okay, we need you need to show warmth, or you should be respectful, or you should be genuine, or you should not be judgmental. It's not possible. If you love someone, for example, if you love a dog, and if a man came to you and he said, okay, I am going to kill this dog because this dog has bitten my child, what you are going to do? Your own emotions will come out. This dog is like my child. How can this man say that I'm going to kill this dog? Right. So you need to be aware of your own emotions. If this thing will come in between, then you won't be able to do any kind of counseling. So keep a check on your own emotions and your own feelings. Then only you can develop the skill set gradually, with time, with practice, and with a definitely good exposure as well. Sonali, you are on mute.
Oh, so sorry. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tanu. We have one more question, and that is, we see in our community that two dogs are fighting. Okay, for example, two dogs are fighting on a road, and there are people around, and there is a man walking with his child, and they both are fearful of dogs. But when they see the two dogs fighting, they get this fear that in between the fight, they might attack the humans as well, right? So at that time of when we encounter such a situation, what should be our response? What should be our action in order to ensure that those humans, they realize that those dogs will not be harmful or will not harm them? So how can we proceed ahead with that? Because we have to ensure that this does not the dog fight does not create any sort of negative image in the mind of those people who are living around.
Yeah, but how can we ensure that if dogs are fighting, they will not bite? If the dogs are biting in the community and the humans develop this fear that they might harm the humans as well, and they actually, if you come in between, it's a communication. What are they doing? Just like humans, they are communicating. Maybe they're showing their anger towards the other dog. One dog is interacting with the other dog, and you interfere and you come in between these two dogs, then definitely what will happen? That's what we have learned here, what we have discussed, to play the safe game.
Tanu, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I didn't mean that the humans are trying to separate the two dogs fighting. The two dogs are fighting on the road, and the passers by are passing, and they are fearful that in between the dog fight, those dogs can attack the humans.
I got your point. That's what I'm saying, that who can guarantee that they will not bite? So to come out from the fear, definitely you can do a lot of community education session, that out of blue, no dog will bite. Right, out of blue, they will not bite. But at the same time, we need to train them, we need to educate them that if you come in between them, or you are trying to hit them with the stick, okay, then they will bite. It's a provocation, you're trying to provoke the dogs. But we cannot guarantee that they will not bite. But at the same time, you mean that you have to overcome with your irrational fear. It's an irrational fear, right? Just thinking about that they might bite, they might not bite too. But so for that, I think we need to conduct a community education sessions by using these resources, that these are the areas, or these are the things, these are the signs and symptoms of a dog body language, that why they bite. Like we have discussed in one of the slides, that why a dog bite. If a dog is rabid, you have seen the sign and symptoms. He was salivation, there was an excessive salivation, or they have showed some kind of abnormal behavior, and definitely they will bite. If the dog is absolutely normal, absolutely fine, right? But you are not playing the safe game, you are going in between, they definitely bite. So some kind of fear, which we call in a psychological language, we call it a eustress. It's a good fear. Some kind of fear should be there, but it should not impact your harmony or your relationship with the dogs, right? So you need to have a basic understanding, a thin line difference, where to go and where you should not intervene in between, but not to overthink as well. Okay, because they are fighting and we are here, so they will bite. They can bite, they might not bite, right? So you cannot guarantee something that it is going to happen. If you are going to hit them, definitely they are going to bite because you are trying to provoke them, right? So we need to understand these behaviors, and there is no harm to be vigilant, to be aware, or to be cautious around the dogs. But it doesn't mean that being vigilant you hate dogs, right? You're trying to protect yourself as well, and you're not going in the territory of the dogs. You're not trying to disturb. It's a kind of communication. They are also communicating with their other non-human individual. So you should not interfere with that, but at the same time trying to protect yourself. And nobody can say that, if you are protecting yourself, it means you're hating a dog. You're trying to protect yourself. So need to maintain a thin line difference. Yeah.
We have another question, that is, what are the 3%, what are those other animals other than dogs which can cause rabies?
Yeah, cats, monkeys, sometimes bats too. They can also. So normally cats and monkeys are also responsible, including bats. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, most of the mammals, they
Yeah.
can.
And yeah. And more activists and counselors should get involved to inculcate the message, spread the message, aware them, ask them to vaccinate their dogs, stray dogs, sterilize them, and spread love and happiness and stay together, because being with dogs, when you counsel someone, one more aspect I forgot to tell you. When we counsel someone, especially the dog bite victim or the caregiver, we can also say that being with dogs, I mean, research also says that being with dopamine, dogs can be, I should not be used, but yes, as part of the family, they help the patients, other than the dog bite victim. I'm saying in fact in the treatment of many personality disorder, OCDs, depression, uh, they play a biggest role, to encourage or to increase the happy hormones in humans. So it is not just good for the dogs, but for the humans as well. So ultimately, if both are happy, then they are more healthy, and it will increase their oxytocin and dopamine levels as well. So we can say that too during our counseling sessions.
All right. So with that, Tanu, we come at the end of our webinar, and I would like to thank you for addressing us on this very sensitive and very important part of addressing animal welfare, especially whenever we are aiming to mitigate human-dog conflict. You have shown us on how to communicate with skills. What is the actual meaning of communication skill? What are the traditional practices that are employed by people, the selection of appropriate resources for counseling, highlighting people's emotions leading to human dog conflicts, why do people behave certain way against dogs, psychological impact on people whenever they have any kind of conflict in the past, their previous experiences with the dogs, explaining about the psychology behind people's actions behind violence or cruelty against dogs, what are the characteristics of a counselor, and how can playing games with the children by showing them how to prevent dog bite can really help us in a long way, and how to be, how to control our own emotions, how to not react and respond. These are very basic things that a counselor must understand before counseling, before imparting education, or even before counseling a patient, a dog bite victim. So all these scenarios, all these skills that you have taught us, Tanu, I just hope our organizations and the people that have joined us in this webinar today, they gain a lot, and they learn, and they practice it, because as you said, practice only can make us perfect. And controlling one's emotions, understanding how to respond to a situation, listening, these are some very basic skill sets which will help us not just in counseling and educating, but also in our personal lives as well, in shaping us as humans. So I thank you, I thank you so much for joining us, for addressing us and the participants. Thank you so much, Tanu, for joining us, and thank you so much to all the participants who have joined us, and for raising such beautiful and informative questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Stay safe. Yeah.
Thank you, Tanu.